It's harder to balance a team with egos than people actually realize. Skip, it's hard. Kevin Durant put this team together. Kevin Durant put this team together. He's the de facto best player, and there's no question about that.
How do you figure he put it together?
Hold on, is James Harden there? So, hold on. He called Bobby Marks and says, okay, he okayed the trade. He also called Bobby Marks and says, okay, I'm okaying the trade for him to come. The reason Kyrie is there, if Kevin Durant says, look, I'm coming to Brooklyn, but I want you to sign X instead of Kyrie. Kyrie is not in Brooklyn. X is in Brooklyn. Kevin Durant put this team together. If LeBron James, you say LeBron put the Miami Heat together, let that thing have blown up. It goes to show you how hard it is, Skip, because they stayed together for 4 years. You saw Golden State. Kevin Durant wanted to put a team together outside of Golden State that says, hey, I can do this too. Yep. LeBron did it. Bob Myers did a great job. But, Skip, the thing when you get super teams like this, everybody has to sacrifice. Sure. And everybody has to believe everybody is sacrificing. The moment Kyrie did not get that vaccine, James Harden said, you're not sacrificing. Now, you tell us you want to sacrifice. I see KD got it. I see everybody else got it. I saw Kyrie 2 weeks. He ain't tell the front office. He tell his teammates, bro, I need some time away.
Yep.
That's not sacrificing.
Okay.
You're looking at the betterment of you for you. James Harden said, hold on. And I get it. People say, well, James Harden quit on Houston. He quit on Brooklyn. Kyrie quit on Cleveland, quit on Boston. So what's to say? But Kevin Durant is finding out that it's really hard to keep things together because, Skip, even after the third, we started hearing things in that third season before that blow up with Draymond that, feeling some type of way. I don't, the adulation that Steph gets, I'm not going to get that because this is not my team. So he went, that's his team. Brooklyn is his team. And hey, if LeBron James put together a super team and that thing imploded after a year and a half, whoo, and then James Harden said, my first choice was to go to Philly. That's what he said. Now, if it's a lie, he told it. Now, you made a big old deal about Paul George not wanting to go play with LeBron.
Definitely.
Oh, we'll make a big deal about James Harden wanting to go play with Joel Embiid. He said, I want to go with Joe. He didn't call him Joel. He said Joe. That's what they call him. Yep. Big Joe.
They call him Joe. Everybody calls him Joe.
Yeah.
Inside.
Yeah. So Joe.
Yeah.
He wanted to play with Joe, not the best player. Hold on. You mean to tell me somebody doesn't want to play with the best player in the NBA? James Harden didn't. Skip, this was bound to end the moment Kyrie didn't get that vaccination because James Harden said, I thought we were all in this together. I thought we all wanted the same thing. He didn't sign up for a part-time player, and that's what he was getting. I don't know anybody is that we're trying to accomplish something, but you can only play on the road. Well, hell, we got 41 games at home. What the hell are we supposed to do with you? What the hell we got going on, Skip? That's what happened. Their egos, it's now reported that the style of offense, the style of play they were going to have, KD wanted free Floyd like they had in Golden State. James is more of an ISO, but I thought James had done a great job blending in, Skip. You look there, he came to last year, he finished third in MVP. So clearly he could play a style, but it's hard, Skip. It's hard when you got egos like this because everybody has been the man elsewhere.
Yep.
Now, you bring 3 men. That's why I take my hat off to Chris Bosh, who was the man in Toronto. D. Wade had won a championship, a finals MVP in Miami. It was Wade County. And then LeBron, we know what LeBron was. And guess what? D. Wade say, LeBron, you the best damn player. We'll follow you. Chris Bosh say, bro, do you. Somebody wasn't willing to say, do you. So everybody got to be willing to make a sacrifice. And I'm not so sure everybody with that big 3 in Brooklyn was willing to make those sacrifices.
Who was the leader of the Heatles, as they were first called when LeBron went there? Who was the leader of that team? It was D. Wade. Whose winners' intangibles were much higher than either Kyrie's or James Harden's? Chris Bosh, because he's a really good guy.
Yes.
He was willing to do whatever it took.
Yes.
And I was hard on him early because everybody was hard on him because he was the third wheel and he was the most glaringly easy target when they got off to that horrible early
start. They started out 9-8.
Yeah. And they lost a Monday night game at home to Portland, and they were big favorites. I think they might have even been double-digit favorites to win that game.
Chris Bosh was a 2010 guy. People don't realize that in Portland.
He was an all-star.
And you know the third guy, Skip, with LeBron, Kevin Love. Remember, Kevin Love was a 26 and 14 guy.
He was. you have to have high winners intangibles to blend the three.
Yes.
And obviously, they had to both defer to LeBron, to you be you. You do what you've been doing in Cleveland. Just go ahead.
Yes.
We'll figure this. It took a little while.
Yes.
And it took a whole
year.
It took
a finals loss.
The finals was a
disaster.
Disaster for LeBron. It was. Okay. So now, what was happening here this year? Well, let's start with the fact that Kevin wanted to go to the Knicks. So Kevin, shockingly to me, deferred to Kyrie and said, okay, if you want to go to Brooklyn, I'll go to Brooklyn.
Right.
Kevin's attitude was, I just won back-to-back finals MVPs.
Right.
I got my rings. I got 2. I'm good to go here.
KD a made man wherever he goes.
Wherever he goes. And he said, look, I love you, man. If you really want to go to Brooklyn, let's just go to Brooklyn.
Right.
Then. So he did not Bigfoot Kyrie and say, we got to turn the Knicks. We could save the Mecca of basketball.
Right.
We could turn around. We'd be the biggest stars in the history of New York City basketball if we could make the Knicks champions.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And they would have been. But they go to Brooklyn.
Right.
Okay. James was angling to come there. James just wanted out. He wanted to go, I'm sure because of Daryl Morey, that he wanted to go to Philly first.
Familiarity.
But he just wanted out of
Houston. Correct. I agree with that.
And the option of, wow, I could pair up with those guys.
Right.
We could go big super team. And I think even you acknowledged, well, this is the greatest
we had never seen anything like
trio
this.
of basketball talent we'd ever seen.
Yeah.
On just pure offensive scoring talent.
Oh, yeah.
We've never seen anything like those three, right?
Yeah, all three guys are sensational one-on-one.
Okay. So listen, I trust Kevin Durant, as I've told you from the start. We're going to get deeper into this versus Giannis, but I trust his winners intangibles way beyond Kyrie's and 100,000 miles beyond James Harden. So according to this report, they had played the year before through the offseason. They'd gotten together and played a lot of pickup basketball.
Right.
And for some reason, this past offseason, James wouldn't show up for any of their runs. You know, like out here at UCLA, he just wouldn't show up. But when he did show up for training camp, Kevin was very upset, according to the report, that he was way out of shape. And you could see that because he just lets himself go.
Right.
He is the flip side of LeBron James in offseason workouts, right? And then it started to irk Kevin that James started openly talking about testing the free agent market after this year.
Yeah.
Because it's just a blow to your ego. Like, oh, I thought we were all in this together. Why would you start publicly acknowledging that, right?
Yeah.
And
he
then,
said, I've never been a free agent before.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, and it did start, I give you full credit for what you said about it. All started with Kyrie and the vax mandate.
Yeah.
Okay. If you alleviate that, maybe they're still there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because James Harden believes everybody's bought in.
Yep.
James Harden said, how can we all buy in if you're not doing Kevin Durant? If they said Kevin Durant, it's going to increase your chance of winning a championship if you sleep at Barclays. Kevin Durant's getting a suite at Barclays, and he's staying there. I've never worried about Kevin Durant and him buying into anything. Kevin Durant don't want to lead. Kevin Durant just want to hoop. Y'all let whoever, Bobby Marks, but Skip, think about it. 1 week into when they signed him, what did Kyrie say? We don't even need a coach.
He did.
How the hell that going to play?
Yep, I agree. Yet, there was a turning point when James Harden flat out quit on his second team in 2 years. And because of that, I'm out on him. I'm done with him because in the basketball context, he's a bad guy. I don't mean it in
he's
the
not
life
a bad
context.
person.
I'm talking about as a teammate.
Yes.
As somebody that you can quote unquote count on or not count on. He's a bad guy. He's trouble waiting to happen. He will either disappoint you or just completely leave you flat when you least expect it.
Well, he's under immense pressure, Skip. Like you said, he quit on the way to Houston. Okay, they said, okay, you couldn't win in Houston. So they had robbed you, but Brooklyn.
We don't have time to go through all the chapter and verse of what started happening down the stretch for the Brooklyn Nets here with James being late to games, showing up at halftime for games, and then he has been notorious for this his whole career. But if you play at San Antonio, he's going to take a little side trip and leave the team as it goes on to Denver. He's going to Houston to club. Yeah. And he's just going to do it. And he's been doing it his whole career.
But everybody know James Harden in the club.
Okay,
everybody know James Harden. We call them adult entertainment businesses now, Skip.
One of those. Yes, correct.
He's been that way.
And if you're going to play at Utah, he's going to take a left turn out of the locker room, and he's got his private plane waiting and fueled up for him, and he's going to Vegas.
Yeah, baby.
It's close.
James Harden sound like my type of guy. James, look your boy up now.
Yeah,
your boy like the party too.
He might take you along for the ride sometime.
But hold on. I thought as long as you balling, you hooping, it didn't matter. James Harden was balling, he was hooping, but he became very unhappy. He was like, well, Kyrie ain't all in. Why should I be all in? Why should I be all gung-ho?
Yep.
He chose this.
So this story says that Kevin fought against trading him straight up for Ben Simmons. Obviously, there are other things thrown in at the end on the trade. But in the end, according to this, somebody close to Kevin said, Kevin in the end was like, F it, James isn't bringing SH to this team. Well, he wasn't. He just quit.
Yeah.
And so at some point you just say, okay,
you got to cut your losses, Skip.
You got to cut your losses. I thought the Lakers should have cut their losses on Russ, but they didn't. But Kevin said, that's enough of this. And then he showed you live on national TV during the All-Star draft just how out he was on James because he refused to acknowledge him, and in the end, he refused to pick him.
Right.
It was like, here, take him, silver platter here, and he wouldn't pick him.
I tell you what we would have been willing to do, trade you Russ for James Harden. The salaries match. Straight up.
What would the Nets do with Russell Westbrook?
Y'all got KD and Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, that's why I say it's like addition by subtraction, except now we, the Nets, got Ben Simmons.
Now, we had James.
Wait a second. We got Big Penguin.
Now you like the Big Penguin. You didn't like him last year.
We got the other Curry, who's a pretty good Curry. He's a pretty good shooter.
He ain't Steph.
40%. No, he's not Steph.
But he ain't Steph.
Okay, but he's pretty good, and he was pretty good the other night when they actually won a game and beat Sacramento.
I remember when I was talking about Andre Drummond saying, hey, he can give you this, and you came out here with these stats. Somebody had wrote an article. Nobody equates to not winning more than Andre Drummond. Those 17 rebounds, those 15 rebounds have no correlation to winning. You came out here with a big old stack and stacks of paper.
Yep. And then he went to Philadelphia and he started to Big Penguin ball out. And he was backing up the best big man in basketball, and he was playing
Nikola
like
Jokic, he was in Philly. He wasn't in Denver.
No, the best big man, is called Joe inside.
Jokic.
No, Joe.
Joker.
And all of a sudden, the real AD last year on the Lakers was Andre Drummond, and I didn't know it until he got out from under LeBron.
So now he out from under LeBron.
AD. Wow, interesting. So here he went, and they just stole him because he's going to be a starter for them. He's going to be the starting big man they did not have.
Skip, Kevin is finding out it's a lot more difficult to manage egos, especially if somebody is not. The thing is, you go to Golden State, Steph, Clay, Draymond, they all in.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, it's all about winning. Kyrie don't care about that, Skip. He got whatever it is, whatever, if it's his family, got no problem with that. Other things, he want to be a crusader, I got no problem with that. But if you trying to win, winning has got to trump all of that. James Harden saw that, okay, KD's in, but I see a guy that can only play half the time. I see a guy that there are other things that are more important than basketball. So why the hell, if he's not all in? So why does it matter? If I arrive at this location when I need to be there, who cares if I ride with you? Y'all not paying for this fuel in my plane. I'm doing what I want to do. And that's what happened. Kevin is finding that out because in Golden State, everything was peachy. Occasionally, you could bring the families on the plane. Everybody they get together, have team dinners. Everybody was bought in. But Kevin, you have to understand, those guys grew up together. They grew up playing together. They were with New Edition.
Yeah.
Then you Johnny Gill. You can outsing them all now. I give you that.
I got it.
And so he's finding out it's harder than you thought. It's harder than you think to put three guys together, Skip, because, and I told you when James got there, I said, Skip, he a different James Harden when he first went with KD. He was 6 man coming off the bench. He a different animal now. Kyrie hit that shot. Kyrie wanted to be on the level of LeBron and couldn't understand why he wasn't. Why hit the shot.
That is true.
And so Kyrie's ego's up here, James' ego's up there, Kevin Durant ego should be through the roof, consider what he's done in this league.
That is correct. But when he was out on James, that's when you should know it's way over.
Yeah. Kevin Durant will forgive everything. Kevin Durant just care about hooping. He don't care nothing about that.
And because he's so out on James that he wouldn't even mention his name nor pick him in the All-Star draft.
That was petty. You know that was petty.
No, it was significant is what it was.
It was.
And it sends a resounding message to Philadelphia, don't trust that guy. Because if Kevin is out on him, you should be out on him too.
Well, hey, look, and LeBron did that. LeBron was trying to hey, you go ahead and get him. You get it.
He tried. He tried everything in his power. Yeah. He thought it was funny, and it was
did.
funny.
Hey, and LeBron knew it. That's why LeBron brought his clipboard.
Yeah.
LeBron knew, like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.